What is up, everybody? It is me, DevilNeverCry, and we are back with another DMC video. Apologies on the hiatus when it comes to content. I was away from home, so I didn't really have much capability to record, but I did manage to play a whole bunch of DMC Pinnacle of Combat whilst I was away. That is the DMC mobile game that I managed to stream the beta of and play a whole bunch of and upload here on YouTube. But in this video we're going to go over somewhat of a review of the things that worked well and some things that didn't work so well. Keep in mind it is still a work in progress. It's not going to be just my thoughts on it. I did have a look at a bunch of the comments and such. So this is going to be over somewhat of a review of a general consensus of what the game is, at least from what I have seen. Kicking things off on a positive note, let's go over some of the things that worked quite well. The first of which being the upgrade system. Now, the game that I played, or the beta, wasn't in English, so it was very hard to get a guise on what things were, but thankfully RK, who was there throughout the entirety of the stream, was helping me translate some things, so shout out to him. But one of the things I like about the upgrade system is that despite it being a mobile game, it is pretty much just how you would imagine it would be in a standard console version of DevilNeverCry. You can unlock and upgrade moves. There are separate move lists and upgrades for the weapons that you find. Things like Ebony and Ivory, for Rebellion, for Agni Rudra, and for the shotgun, which we managed to get our hands on in the beta. It all works like a standard console version of DMC. There's also the ability to upgrade your health and your Devil Trigger. All of those things worked great. One of the things that I did not like so much about the upgrade system is resource management. This is a mobile game, so obviously they had to include some way to grind or some way to get the player to continuously play to unlock what they want to unlock, and that is these resources that they have included in this game. To unlock moves, not only does it require red orbs, but there is some arbitrary resource that you need to have enough of to unlock a move, which doesn't necessarily make all too much sense for me, but it does encourage players to go back to missions and to grind bosses and to grind missions to get better ranks so that they can have a higher probability to get these resources to drop. It's more akin to something, again, you would see in a mobile game or some sort of RPG. It is a major game mechanic, so I don't think they're going to be taking it out at any point, but it would be cool to see the probability of these drops, just so you know how far you have to go to unlock a move that you want. Or perhaps they might be very generous with these resources and you might have them a whole lot more often than I did in the beta, but that remains to be seen. Another interesting mechanic that they have added is this idea of being able to improve your weapon's damage capabilities, as well as providing a modifier as to what they do. For example, you could provide like a +5 critical hit percentage chance to Rebellion, or perhaps enemies could drop 5% more orbs. They've added this system that again you would see in something like an RPG to DevilNeverCry. I'm in two minds about it. I know why they've done it again. It provides an outlet for people who really want to min-max their stats to do so. On the other hand, is it all that necessary? I don't know. I guess it all boils down to your personal preference. Another thing that I did like about Pinnacle of Combat is the ability to buy different costumes or different outfits. It sounds silly, but coming off of DMC5, which pretty much only provided you with palette swap versions of characters, this was an interesting inclusion here. Something that I was surprised to see. The costumes provided are pretty much costumes you've never seen anywhere else in the DevilNeverCry series, which I guess is a bit of a downside. And one of the things that I would make a change, or kind of press the developers to do, is include costumes from previous DevilNeverCry games. It seems like almost a shoo-in, considering there's a wealth of costumes for them to dive into and to take. Something that does need to be improved, which is only a minor point I guess, is the localization for this game. The subtitles, the English subtitles, were very off in certain circumstances when characters were speaking. Again, it's something probably that is a lot easier to fix than something like a game mechanic, but it is a bit of a detriment to the experience when you're playing. First couple of times it's funny, and then at the end it's just like, really? Like, anybody double check this? No? And of course, I know the developers aren't English, but considering they are, a video game company working with a Capcom license, you'd think they would take extra care with this. Again, it's a work in progress, so I don't see this being something in the final build of this game. Another point that I want to touch upon that is somewhat divisive is the look or the aesthetic of this game. It's a reimagining of Devil May Cry 3, so no doubt they would have taken some liberties in changing some things. We know this looking at the older trailers. Some people are a fan of the changes they've made, some people aren't. Looking in chat, people didn't necessarily like Dante's face or Nevin's entire redesign, whilst others didn't seem to mind. Some people liked the changes they made, for example, to enemies like Frosts or to Phantom. I'm in two minds about it. There are some things I like, some things I don't like, but overall it didn't, hinder my experience all too much. I play Devil May Cry games first and foremost for the gameplay, which I probably should touch upon right now. First of all, I want to mention that I managed to play this game on controller with an actual physical DualShock 4 controller. I managed to jerry-rig a setup to work, and I will say that it does work a lot better than I expected. To go over the control scheme roughly, you've got a button dedicated to launching enemies and another dedicated to standard attacks, so it's very much like the DMC reboot in that aspect. You've got one button dedicated to shooting, another to jumping, another to dodging, and then you've got a devil trigger button. It works, don't get me wrong, you're not going to be able to lock on, considering there's no lock on button, and it doesn't work as well as a console release, but for a mobile game, the combat works very well. Again, I didn't play all too much with the touchscreen controls, so I can't speak there, but for a mobile game, this game's combat is great. As I said in my first impressions video, this game has combat that puts other modern action games to shame in regards to the depth and the complexity it has. A lot of you already know jump cancelling is in this game. It was kind of put front and center in the trailers for this game because the people developing this game, Uncharted Games, they know, I guess, the market for this game. They know people are going to be interested in things like that. And they've done outstanding, I should say. Not only that, but they've included something like a training mode, so you can go in there and you can essentially make combos to your heart's content. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to be as impeccable as the DMC console games, but considering it's a mobile game, a 60 frames per second mobile game at that, it works quite well, and I was pleasantly surprised when I got hands on with it. That is not to say that there are a few issues with it. Again, the lock-on is a bit iffy. The camera did mess me up a whole bunch. The game also seemed to eat inputs from time to time. Again, not sure if that was my setup or if it was the game itself, so I'll leave that one as is for now. The last thing that I unfortunately want to touch upon is the inclusion of loot boxes and microtransactions, which I think a lot of you saw coming. Surprisingly, I initially didn't, but then when I thought about it, it did make sense. A lot of mobile games are doing this. It's a way to fish for whales. It's a way to have people keep coming back. It's a way to have people avoid the grind, so to speak. I'm uncertain as to how hard they're going to push people in terms of not giving out resources or having low probability for resources to push people to spend money on loot boxes and such. I'm not sure if the loot boxes are going to be cosmetic only, or if it's going to be for moves, or if it's going to be for things like weapon modifiers and such, because I couldn't read it. I didn't get it translated. So I'll say I'm wary of how far they take the loot boxes and microtransactions. I'm hoping it doesn't take center stage. It doesn't seem to. So we'll leave that at that. But I will say that overall, I've come out of this beta, the second beta, should I mention, very positive and looking forward to the final release of this game. What I will say is that the developers are watching these videos. They do pay attention. Do get on the case of these developers if you want to leave feedback. If you want to leave feedback in the comments of this video for what you've seen. A lot of you have already in the previous videos, and I appreciate that. I myself will be giving them a lot of feedback as well, in the hopes that maybe some things are addressed, or just to let them know that they're doing a great job with the game so far. And because a lot of people were asking me this, I probably should address it. In regards to when this game is releasing, when is it coming out? Unfortunately, I don't know. A lot of people are speculating, or were speculating, this wasn't even coming to the Western market, but considering that they reached out to me and they got me you know, some hands-on time with it. Safe to say it will be coming to the West at some point. I think they're aiming for China and other Eastern markets by the end of this year. I'm not sure if the West is going to be included in that, but as soon as I know and find out, I will of course let you all know. So with all that said and done, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and as always, I'll see you all next time.